Hello everyone. Today we will see a lesson, A Truly Beautiful Mind. This chapter is about Albert Einstein, and he was a great scientist. And the title of the chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind, refers to Albert Einstein. And this is a short biography of his where some of his qualities have been highlighted. As Albert's interest in mathematics and physics can also his humanitarian attribute. And this lesson makes one wonder how can a scientist mind be beautiful, and it is so because in this lesson we come across another aspects of Einstein, and he was a humanitarian. He advocated world as a peace, non-violence, and that is why the title refers to him, A Truly Beautiful Mind. So let's start the lesson. Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in the German city of Ulm. Without any indication that he was destined to greatness, on the contrary, his mother thought Albert was a freak. To her, his head seemed much too large. So here destined means fate or a predetermined set of events that has to be happen in the future. Uh, Freak means a word used as disapproval to talk about a person who is unusual and doesn't behave or think or like others. So, here Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879, and he was born in a city in Germany when he was a child, and no one could predict that one day he would become a great scientist, and he was like all other children. Albert's mother thought that Albert was a freak because he did not behave, talk, or look like normal people did, and he was different from other children of his age, and he behaved abnormally, and it seemed as if he had lesser intelligence in comparison to other children. And Albert's mother thought that the little boy's head was a bit too big in comparison to other children's head. At the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking. When he finally did learn to speak, he uttered everything twice. Einstein did not know what to do with other children, and his playmates called him Brother Boring. So the youngsters played by himself much of the time. He especially loved mechanical toys, looking at his newborn sister, Maja. He is said to have said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" So here Albert Einstein started talking when he was 2.5 years of age, and uttered means spoke. And finally, when Einstein started speaking, he used to repeat the words, and Einstein remained to himself all the time. He used to play with himself only. From the very beginning, since his childhood, he loved mechanical toys, and such toys in which some kind of machinery was used, such as automated cars, automated airplanes. And when his sister was born, and he looked at her, he could not see her feet. He was wondering where the baby's wheels were, and that means the feet of the baby. And as Albert Einstein used to play with toys, and all the toys had a set of wheels to him, Maja seemed to be a toy too, and so he might have thought that where were her wheels. A headmaster once told his father that what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter because he will never make a success at anything. Einstein began learning to play the violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to. He later became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining this skill throughout his life. So, the headmaster of Einstein's school told Einstein's father that he would never be successful in whatever profession he chose. And amateur means doing something for personal enjoyment rather than as a profession, or something which is your hobby and you do as a pastime. And here Einstein was a very good violinist, and he learned playing the violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to play um, violin to play it, and all his time he was an amateur violinist, and he played the violin as a hobby, not a profession. So, but Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. He went to high school in Munich, um, where Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 months old, and scored good marks in almost every subject. Einstein hated the school's regimentation and often clashed with his teachers. At the age of 15, Einstein felt so stifled there that he left the school for good. So, pupil is the student here. Albert Einstein was a very good student, and he went to school in Munich because his family had moved from um, the previous city to the new one, and when he was 15 months old and scored good marks in almost in every subject. And what's the meaning of regimentation? That is order or discipline taken to an extreme. So here the school where Einstein went had a very strict discipline, um, so which he disliked, and due to that he often clashed with his teacher's opinion and opposed him. And Einstein was so suffocated in that school, he could not follow the strict discipline, and so he left the school forever. The previous year, Albert's parents had moved to Milan and left her son with relatives. After prolonged discussion, Einstein got his wish to continue his education in German speaking Switzerland, in a city which was more liberal than Munich. So, uh, when Albert Einstein left the school 1 year before that, his parent had moved to another city which is in Italy, and Albert was left behind in Munich with his relatives. And liberal means willing to understand and respect others' opinion. So, Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and interested in physics, and after finishing school, he decided to study at a university in Zurich. But science wasn't the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man and with the walrus mustache. So, here Einstein was good at studies, and he was highly gifted in mathematics. So he was exceptionally good in mathematics, and he also had an interest in physics. Science was not the only thing that appealed to Einstein, who was a very handsome young man. Other than science, he had an interest in something else also. So, he also felt a special interest in the fellow student Mileva Merrick, whom he found to be a clever creature. This young sir had come to Switzerland because the university in Zurich was one of the few in Europe where women could get degrees. So here, other than maths and physics, Albert Einstein liked one of his fellow students. Her name was Mileva Merrick, and he thought that she was very clever, sharp, and intelligent. So they met at the university there, and Mileva belonged to Serbia, so that's why she is called a Serb. and she came from Serbia to Switzerland because the university in Zurich was one of the few universities in Europe which gave degrees to female students. Einstein saw in her an ally against the Philistines, those people in his family at the university with whom he was constantly at odds. So here ally means a friend or an associate, we can say, and Philistine is a word used disapproving to talk about people who do not like art, literature or music. So here Einstein felt that Mileva was a friend because he also liked art, literature or music. Both shared this common interest in those days, and having interest in uh, art, literature or music was not considered to be good. So those people who were interested in these art, literature or music used to call their opponent Philistines. And Albert Einstein's family and many people in the university were not in favor of this, and so against such people, Albert Einstein and Mileva Merrick's unity helped them face the situation. The couple fell in love. Letters survive in which they put their affection into words, mixing science with tenderness. Wrote Einstein, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on relativity to a victorious conclusion." So here Albert Einstein and Mileva fell in love and they exchanged their love letters to express their feelings, and they used to write such kind of letters where they used to mix science with their feelings. And at one instance Einstein talked about his scientific invention that and said that he would be very proud on that day when they would finally conclude their paper on a theory of relativity. So, in 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate and unemployed. So, here he worked as a teaching assistant and gave private lessons. In the year 1900, Albert Einstein was 21 years of age and he completed his graduation from the university but was unemployed. Now, he worked as a teaching assistant, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert in the patent office in Bern. So, patent means a document which gives the right of an invention to an inventor. So, from 1900 to 1902, Albert Einstein was working as a teaching assistant and gave private lessons also. And finally, in 1902, he got a job in Bern. Bern is a city in Germany, and he got the job of a technical officer in a patent office in Bern. While he was supposed to be assessing other people's invention, Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. So here Einstein was supposed to check the inventions done by other people and give them a patent. On the other hand, secretly he was making his own inventions too. Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret, and he is said to have jokingly called his desk drawer as a work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. So here Einstein later said the desk on which he worked was the office of the theoretical physics because there only he started working on his invention. One of the famous papers of 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity, according to which time and distance are not absolute. Absolute means measured in itself, not in relation to anything else. So, in the year 1905, Einstein published his first paper and it was about special theory of relativity. In this publication, he was written that the measurement of time and distance is not absolute, it depended on something else. Indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time which they come together again after a journey if one of them has been moving very fast relative to the other. So here according to the theory, if there are two clocks and both are moving, they will not show the same time. One clock will move faster than the other. From this followed the world's most famous formula that which describes the relationship between mass and energy, that is E equal to mc square. In this mathematical equation, E stands for energy, m for mass, and c for the speed of the light in a vacuum, that is about 3 lakh kilometer per second. So here this theory of relativity gave us the basic formula of physics, and to put it into simpler words, Einstein said that when you sit with a nice girl, he has given the theory of relativity and gave this basic formula of physics, that is E is equal to mc square. So here in the box you can see that when you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes, and when you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. That's it. That's a relativity. And Einstein said this in very nice words, so a person would feel the timing differently. While Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, his private life was unraveling. So, unraveling means starting to fail. Though he was solving the complicated problems in physics for the world, his personal life started becoming problematic, and he started to fail in his personal life. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies, but his mother was against it. Here, Albert Einstein wanted to marry Mileva Merrick soon after he finished his studies, but his mother, um, Pauline Einstein, was against this. She thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him. She was also bothered by Maleva's intelligence, and she is a book like you. His mother said. Einstein put the wedding off. So, Pauline, his mother thought that Mileva Merrick, who was 3 years elder to Albert Einstein, was very old for him, and then she thought that Mileva was very intelligent to be a wife, and she told Einstein that Mileva was also like a book and was similar to him. As his mother was against this marriage, and he cancelled his marriage with Mileva. The pair finally married in January 1903 and had 2 sons. But a few years later, the marriage faltered. Mileva, meanwhile, was losing her intellectual ambition and becoming an unhappy housewife. After years of constant fighting, the couple finally divorced in 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. So here Albert Einstein married Mileva Merrick in the year 1903, and they had 2 sons. And faltered means became weak. Their married life failed, and as Mileva Merrick was very intelligent, being a housewife, she could not cope up with her ambitions, and she could not fulfill her ambitions, and so he started becoming unhappy. And Mileva was unhappy from his marriage. She could not fulfill her career dream. So finally, in the year 1919, after prolonged fighting, both of them separated. And Albert Einstein married the second time. He married his cousin Elsa. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to world fame. So here at the time Einstein married Elsa, another thing coincided. It was Einstein's rise to world fame, and Einstein became world famous. Everyone acknowledged him as a great scientist. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity, which provided a new interpretation of gravity. So here in the year 1915, he published one more paper which was based on the general theory of relativity, which gave a new interpretation to gravity. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent of which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. So, in the year 1919, there was a solar eclipse which proved that Einstein's general theory of relativity was correct. And deflected means change direction because it hit something. Here, Albert Einstein has calculated in the year 1915 that in the year 1919 there would be a solar eclipse, and due to it, the apparent position of the star would change to some extent, and this calculation was accurate. So it was announced that Albert Einstein's work was a scientific revolution. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. He was showered with honors and invitations from all over the world and lauded by the press. So, here Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in the year 1921, and he was honored and was invited to various places all over the world, and even the press praised him. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein emigrated to the United States. 5 years later, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in an uproar. Many of them had fled from fascism just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. So, here emigrated means leave one's own country in order to settle permanently in another. So in 1933, when Germany came under the power of Nazis, Nazi is the ruler of Adolf Hitler. At that time, Einstein left Germany and shifted to the United States of America forever. And after 5 years, the Germans discovered the process of nuclear fission, the process through which nuclear bombs or atomic bombs are made. So this process was prepared in Berlin. Due to this, all the physicists in America were upset as they feared misuse of technology. And there were many scientists who escaped to America because of fascism. Fascism was a dictatorial concept that was started in Europe from Italy by the rule of Benito Mussolini. And all the scientists were afraid that the Nazis could misuse the atomic bomb. So, at the urging of a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned a single bomb of this type exploded in a port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. His words did not fail to have an effect. The Americans developed the atomic bomb in a secret project of their own and dropped it on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. So Albert Einstein was requested by a colleague, and so he wrote a letter to the President of America, Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned him that the atomic bomb which was developed by Germany was very powerful, and if one of these bombs exploded on any of the port, it would not only destroy the area but also it would destroy the surrounding territory. So this shows Einstein's humanitarian quality, and he wanted good for the people and he wanted peace in the world. That's why he wrote his concern to the President of America and warned him. So Albert Einstein's letter had an impact on Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the American developed the atomic bomb secretly and dropped it on 2 cities of Japan, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Germans had just developed the atomic bomb and they did not use it on any country, but America did. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. This time he wrote a public missive to the United Nations. In it, he proposed the formation of the world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact. But over the next decade, Einstein got ever more involved in politics, agitating for an end to the arms buildup and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. So here, lot of destruction took place, and Einstein was shaken. And missive means letter, especially long and official. So he wrote an official letter to the United Nations organization. And Albert Einstein proposed to form a world government, but this letter did not bear any fruit. Then for another 10 years, Albert Einstein was involved in world peace, and he was involved in politics, and his agenda was to stop the countries involved in collecting arms and developing weapons. His main agenda was world peace and freedom of people. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and world citizen as much as the scientific genius. So, in the last, visionary means a person who can think about the future in an original and intelligent way. So, Einstein could foresee the future, which he died when he died in 1955 at the age of 76. The world celebrated him as a visionary, and he was a world citizen and a scientific genius too. So maybe this will helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe my channel. Bye.